Hello, people. Welcome to today's paper review. We are going to be going over November 2025, paper 3, and it's a calculator paper as well. So please have your calculator by your side and let's dive in. Okay, first question says write the number 25,300 in figures. So this is just you being able to read 25,300. Write 23% as a fraction. So as a fraction, remember your percentage is out of 100, so that should be 23 out of 100. Simplify 2p times 3. So what we do here is 2 times 3 is 6. Put on a p. Another way you can think about it is 2p, 3 times of that. So 2p, 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 and in total we have 6p. So that's how you can think about it. There are so many ways you can think about number 4. You could have, this is the value you've been given. So the nearest 100 is on this side is going to be 800 and on this side is going to be 900. Now this is closer to 900 than 800, so that's why we've rounded to 900. And you could look at your 5 as well, and if it's 5 and above, I round that up and that gives me 900. So those are the various ways you can think about it. For number 5, it says change 3 liters into milliliters. So the first question I need to ask is 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So that means 3 liters multiplied here by 3. I need to do the same on this side, and that should give me 3,000 milliliters. So put down 3,000 there. Let's go to number 6. It says Lara asks her students which device they use most, a desktop, a laptop, or a phone. Here is an accurately drawn pie chart to show her results. Which device did the greatest number of students say they used the most? So we can see that our phone covers the most part of the circle. So we put down phone there. So for number 6, 6b says measure the angle in the pie chart representing laptop. So I don't have a protractor to use to measure on my screen, but what I would have done is to reference my 0 line and find out what this angle is, and I've done that on my paper, and that comes out to 84 degrees, and that's the correct answer when I checked on the mark scheme. C says Ben says most students said they use a laptop most than they said they use a desktop most. A desktop and a laptop. So what we need to do there as well is to measure what this angle is, and I can see that the laptop angle is greater than the desktop angle, so that is correct because I'm comparing the angles in this case, and the angles represent the people that chose the devices. So if we were to check our mark scheme, we can see there that's 84, that was correct, but whatever is in the range of 82 to 86 will be given the mark. And for 6C says yes, the angle sector degree for laptop is bigger. So once you compare that 84 and 73, which are the two angles that were given, that should be acceptable. Number 7 says there are 3 friends. Anita has 36 pounds. Fazer has 48 pounds. So we have 3 friends. We have Anita. I'm going to put it as A. We have Fazer and we have Gary. So Anita has 36 pounds. Fazer has 48 pounds. And Gary has 4 times the amount of money that Anita has. So we know that Anita has 36, so that's 36 times by 4. And since it's a calculator paper, make sure you use your calculator. 36 times by 4 gives you 144 pounds. These 3 friends then share out the total amount of money equally. Work out how much money each friend gets. So we know that we have 36 plus 48 plus 144, and that gives you 228. And they said they shared it equally. Work out how much money each friend gets. So if they were to share it equally, there are three of them. So one person will get 228 divided by 3, and that should give you 76 pounds. So one person gets 76 pounds, which I'm going to put there. Let's look at the mark scheme quickly. So that's 76 pounds. So one mark for you to be able to find out what Gary got. And your second process marks comes from the total. And lastly, you get your answer mark. Number 8 says John is going to buy boxes of crisps to sell in his cafe. There are 48 packets of crisps in each box. So we have a box, and in there are 48 packets, and each box, one of these, one box, will cost you 25 pounds. For number 8, we could first of all start from finding the total number of packets of crisps that we'll need for the 4 weeks. So we can add 150 plus 145 plus 162 plus 119, and that gives us 576 packets of crisps. Now we know that one box holds 48, so let's find out how many boxes we will need. So that will be 576 divided by 48, and that tells me we will need 12 boxes. And we know that one box, it costs 25 pounds. So that means 12 boxes will cost 25 pounds times by 12, and that is 300 pounds. So for number 8b, so if his assumption is wrong, that will change um, the value that we're going to get there, because more or less people can come and buy his crisps, and that will change the amount he gets here. For number 9, it says here is a sequence of patterns made from regular hexagons. Pattern number 1, we have it. Pattern number 2, we have it. Pattern number 3, we have it. The total number of hexagons in pattern number 1 is 7. So we have 7 there. So we can see a sequence now. The first question says find the total number of hexagons in pattern number 4. So we can see we added 3 here, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So our common difference is plus 3. So that means we should have 16 there. That's correct. And the total number of hexagons in pattern number 100 is 304. Work out the total number of hexagons in pattern number 105. So there are two ways we could do this. We could just, since we know that the common difference is plus 3, we could just start adding from the 100th one, or we could find the nth term and then we could substitute 105 into it. I would say it's much easier for us to just, we know that the 100th one, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So this is 304. We add 3, 307, 310, 313, 316, and then 319. So that's one way we could do that, and we put that there. It's 319. The second way we could have done this, knowing our pattern, is a 7, a 10, and a 13. We know that the nth term for this is going up in threes, so that is 3n And from the 3 times table to 7, we need to add 4. So now we're looking for the pattern number of 105. So that will be 3 lots of 105 plus 4. And remember, this is a calculator paper. So 105 times by 3 is 315 plus 4, and that is 319. Still yet, we will still get the same answer of 319. So whatever way that you prefer, that's fine. For number 10, it says Lakshmi drives from her home to her friend's house. Here is a travel graph for her journey. How far is Lakshmi from home at 10:30? So at 10:30, this 10:30, we trace this back, and each one there is 10, so that means each box there should be 2. So we know that that is 30, that should be 36. So that is 36 kilometers away from home. So at what time is Lakshmi 60 kilometers from home? 60 kilometers from home, we trace it down. We know that here is 10:30 because it's halfway. Half of that is 10:45. So that time there should be 10:45, and that is still AM. Lakshmi leaves her friend's house at 11:45. Leaves her friend's house at 11:45, which is this time, to return home. She drives at a steady speed. She gets home at 12:45. Show this information on the travel graph. So from 11:45 and stops at 12:45. 12:45 is this point, and since it's a steady, that means it's a straight line graph. This 12:45. That's it. That's my straight line graph. Question number 11 says, here is a fair 8-sided spinner. Jordan spins the spinner once. Is Jordan more likely to get an even number or get an odd number? Give a reason for your answer. So let's see how many even numbers we have. So we have 3 even numbers. Odd numbers, we have 5 odd numbers. And it's asking us, is Jordan more likely to get an even number or get an odd number? Give a reason for your answer. So we can say that Jordan is more likely to get an odd number because of higher occurrence. So we see that that's for odd number, we have 5 out of 8, and for even number, we have 3 out of 8. So it's more likely to get an odd number than an even number. Looking at the mark scheme, number 11, odd with reason. Ezra spins the spinner once, right, and the probability that Ezra gets a 2. A 2 appears 3 times, so that should be 3 out of 8. 3 out of 8. If we look at that again, the mark scheme, 3 out of 8, that's correct. Remy spins the spinner 200 times. Work out an estimate for the number of times Remy gets a 5. So the probability of getting a 5 is 2 out of 8. Now multiply that by the number of times he spends it, which is 200 times. And we have that as 400 over 8, which is 50. So 50 is the correct answer there. Okay, number 12. The diagram shows 3 straight lines. Find the value of x. You must give a reason for each stage of your working. So whenever they've asked you that you must give a reason for each stage of your working, that means that is going to give you some marks. This is always a 5 marks, so that means your reason is going to give you at least 2 marks. Your answer will give you 1 mark, and your other workings will give you 2 marks. So that's how they're going to mark this question. So looking at this, we're looking for the value of x. It's always good to have a strategy how you can find this value. So if I get this value and I get this value, I can find the value of x. So now I have a strategy to go with. So I can now start to work it out. That's for A, B, C, which is this angle there, that is the same as 46. And my reason is vertically opposite angles are equal. That's why A becomes 46. Next, I can say ACB, which is this angle here. That is the same thing as 180. Take away 110, which gives me 70. My reason for that is sum of angles on a straight line equals 180. And finally, so here is 70. I can find what the value of my x is. So that is 180 take away 70 plus 46. And my reason for that is sum of angles in a triangle. So sum of angles in a triangle equals 180. So using my calculator now, that gives me 64. So x is equal to 64 degrees. Let's look at a max scheme. That's 64. And there'll be so many ways you can solve this to get it. But that's my strategy, that's my reasoning. And they're going to give you 2 marks for C2, 2 marks for your reasonings. Okay, so for number 13, this shape is made from 5 identical rectangles. Since they are identical, we know that from this point to this point is 12, and they're identical. That means they're divided into 3 equal parts. So each of this is 4 cm. So that means that this gives me 4 cm. Now, all of this is 12. All of this is 12 as well. So that means the area of all of this gives me 12 times 12, which is 144. The area of this side gives me 12 times 4, which is 48. Here as well will give me 48 as well. So I have 48 plus 48 plus 144. That gives me 240 cm squared. Looking at that, 240 cm squared, that's correct. Number 14 says 20% of a number, so 20% of a number is 48. Work out 50% of the same number. We have so many ways we could do this. So if 20% gives me 48, we know that 10% of that same number should give me 24, which is half of it. That means 50% times that by 5 should be the same thing as times this by 5, and that should give me 120. Number 14 says increase 280 by 17.5%. Now, I always advise my students whenever they are doing an increase or a decrease on a calculator paper, always find your multiplier. It's much more easy, and use your calculator. So since we're looking for an increase by 17.5%, that is the same thing as 100 plus 17.5, which is 117.5%. You put that as a fraction, which is 1.175. Now, if I multiply 280 by 1.175, that means I've increased it by 17.5%. And that is 329. So let's check our answer now. We had 120 and 329. 120, 329. That's correct. Number 15 says y is equal to 3x minus 4. Find the value of y when x is equal to 6. That's your substitution. So we have there, that's y is 3x minus 4. And the value of my x is 6. So that's 3 lots of 6 minus 4. 18 minus 4, which is 14. So that means y is 14 when x is 6. And 5n plus 2p is equal to 65. And n is equal to 10. Find the ratio n is to p. So they're looking for the ratio of n is to p. So we know that our n is 10. So we need to find what our p is going to be. So we have 5 lots of 10 plus 2p is equal to 65. 2p, that gives us 50. 65. 2p is equal to 15. Taking 50 from both sides, and p is equal to 7.5. So when my n is 10, my p is 7.5. This has to be whole numbers, so I can put it as 100 is to 75, and I could simplify further. So we know that 25 goes into 100 4 times, 25 goes into 7 3 times. So I can simplify that as 4 is to 3. So that's 14, that's correct, and 10 is to 7.5, and you can see there that means our final mark is OE, or equivalent. So that is the same thing as 4 is to 3 as well. Number 16 says 5 numbers have a mean of 7 and a mode of 10. 3 of the numbers are 3, so we have 3, we have 4, we have 10. And find the other 2 numbers you must show all your working. So they've given us 2 information, that the mean is 7 and the mode is 10. If the mode is 10, that means you're going to have at least two tens, at least minimum. But now they've also given us that the mean is 7. So if the mean is 7, for us to find the mean of a number, that will be the mean is the total over the number of items I have. So number of items I have. So the mean is 7. Our total we do not know. And the number of items we have 5 numbers. So that means the total is 35. So if my total is 35 and my mode is 10, I'm going to have at least another 10, so that will be my mode. And if I was to add all of these numbers, that gives me 7, that gives me 27. And 35 minus 27, that gives me 8. So that means the other number is 8. So let's check our answer. We have 8 and 10. Those are the 2 remaining numbers. That's correct. So for question number 17, it says the diagram shows a solid prism. Work out the volume of a prism. So the quick way to always solve any prism question, or to start working on it, is the volume of a prism is a cross-sectional area times by the length. So this is the cross-sectional area. Once I can find that area, all I have to do is multiply it by the length across. That's how you find the volume of a prism. So if I can find this area, I can find, and multiply by the length, I can find the volume of the prism. We know that here is 16 from the 16 that is given there. So we need to find what this is. So going down there is 12, going down there is 8, so that is 20. So this area becomes 20 times by 16, which is 320. Now this other little area, we know that there is 10, and this height is 8, so that is 80. So the total area of that cross-sectional area is 400, and times it by the length, which is 18, That gives me the volume of the prism, and that is 7,200. 7,200 cm cube. Now with that kind of question, there will be several ways of solving it, but this is my way of solving it. Number 18, work out the value of square root 93 minus 8.1 over 34.7.3. This is just testing your use of calculator. That's all it's testing you. So we have 93 minus 8.1. You could put all of this in a calculator straight up and you will get the same answer, but I'm going to do it step by step. So 93 minus 8.1, that gives me 84.9 over 41.7. So the next thing we do is to have 84.9 divided by 41.7, and we have the square root of 2.035971223. Find the square root of that answer. It gives us 1.4268539624. So that's what 1.4268. That's what they're looking for. 1.4268. Yep. Write down your answer to parts 1. Correct with 3 significant figures. So the 3 significant figures, they want 3 numbers left after we've rounded. So we'll look at these first 3 numbers. The next number after that is 6 is more than 5, so we rounded up to 1.43. That's my answer. Work out the value of the reciprocal of 1.25. Reciprocal is the same as inverse, which means 1 divided by that number. So 1 over 1.25. Now we know that 1.25 is the same thing as 1 whole number 1/4, and that is 5 over 4. So we know that that's 1 divided by 5 over 4, which is 1 times 4 over 5, which is 4 over 5. 1.43, 0.8, which is the same thing as 4 over 5. For number 19, 2 numbers are in the ratio 5:3. The difference between the 2 numbers is 18. So when I have my numbers and I subtract them, my answer should give me 18. Find the 2 numbers. If I have my ratio 5:3 and a multiple of this number, if I multiply it by the same thing, so that means I have 5x is to 3x. The difference between my numbers, which is 2x, between my parts is 2x. That should give me the same thing as 18. That means x is equal to 9. That means my number now should give me 5 times 9 is 45. And the other number should give me 27. Those are my 2 numbers. If I check that, that should give me 45 and 27, and that's correct. 3 numbers are in the ratio 4:7:2. The largest number is 210. So we have 4:7:2. The largest number is 210. So that means in my parts here, the largest one there has to be 210. Find the sum of these 3 numbers. So if here is 7 and I have 210, I've multiplied here by 30. So if I multiply each one by 30, that will give me 60, and that will give me 120. If I add them all together, that is 210 plus 180, and that gives me 390. Those are the sum of the 3 numbers, 390. That's correct. It says complete the table of values for y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 1. So when my x is 0, I will have minus 1. A good way to solve this question is to put something like this into your calculator. So let's assume we're solving when x is minus 2. I'm going to put minus 2 into my calculator, put it in brackets, square it up, minus 2, then the value I'm substituting, which is minus 2, I put it also in the bracket. So everything you're substituting, put it in the brackets. So something like this into your calculator. We are substituting minus 2 into a bracket, into our calculator, so we put that in brackets. So that means that for the first one, I'm going to have minus 2 squared, I'm going to have 4. Minus 2 minus times minus 2, that gives me another positive 4. And minus 1, that gives me 7 there. Now when you're now solving for the next one, all I have to do is go back into my bracket and swap where I had my minus 2 and put 1 now. So I have 1 squared minus 2 times by 1 and minus 1. So 1 squared gives me 1, minus 2 times by 1 gives me minus 2, then I have minus 1. So 1 minus 1 gives me 0, so that means I have minus 2 left there. I go back into my calculator again and I replace that 1 with 3. So I have 3 squared now, minus 2 times by 3 and minus 1. 3 squared gives me 9. Minus 2 times by 3 gives me minus 6 and minus 1. That gives me 9 minus 6 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. So those are my values now. Increase that a bit so that we can plot our values. So on the grid, it says draw the graph of y is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 1 for values of x from minus 2 to 4. Now, this is a very common question that will come out. It's always going to be 5, 6 marks. So it's a good way to get your marks. Completing your table will always give you 2 marks. Plotting your graph will give you another 2 marks. So it's a very easy 4 marks to get, because you're going to see this on your paper 2 or your paper 3, most likely. So when the value of my x is minus 2, I'm going to use a red pen now so that it stands out. When the value of my x is minus 2, the value of my y is 7. So we have a point there. When the value of my x is minus 1, the value of my y is 2. We have another point there. When the value of my x is 0, the value of my y is minus 1. We have a point there. When x is 1, y is minus 2. We have a point there. When x is 2, y is minus 1. When x is 3, y is 2. And when x is 4, y is 7. So now these at this stage will give you, once you're able to get maybe 4 or 5 points based on the mark scheme, they're going to give you 1 mark. So now you should always remember to join your points with a smooth curve. Don't use a ruler, please. Don't use a ruler and draw straight lines. That will make you lose your mark. So just ensure you don't use a ruler to join all your points, because this is a quadratic curve. So use a freehand sketch and just join your points, and that's fine. Now the second part of it says use your graph. Use your graph. So even if your graph is wrong or right, use your graph. Use your graph to find estimates for the solutions of x squared minus 2x minus 1 is equal to 3. Remember, the graph we have is x squared minus 2x minus 1 when y is equal to that. So now the value of our y now is 3. So that means I should draw a line at y is equal to 3 and read off what my x values are using my own graph. So reading that off now, that becomes, so that is minus 1, that's minus 1.5, so each one is a 0.1, so that is minus 1.1, and this value here is 3.4. So those are my 3x values, so minus 1.1 or 3.4. Now is an estimate, so my value is going to fall within this range. They're going to give me a range of values, so let's check our answer. So the most important thing about this question is you can see that my own values that I got there is minus 1.1 and 3.4, but you can see what it says here: for one value in each of the ranges this, or you should follow through depending on M1 in B. So depending on these values that they've had there in their own quadratic graph, so you don't have to have exactly these values, but yeah, so that's correct as well. Calculate the value of 8.4 times 10 to the power of 4 divided by 3.2 times 10 to the power of 5. Give your answer in standard form. So since we're giving our answer in standard form, I need to do 8.4 divided by 3.2, and that gives me 2.625 times 10 to the power of 4 divided by 10 to the power of 5. That gives me 10 to the power of minus 1. Since I want to write this, it's already in standard form, so that's my answer. That's correct. Y is equal to 0.83, correct to 2 decimal places, complete the error interval. So it says Y 0.83, it's correct to 2 decimal places, complete the error interval of that. So we can have the next one as 0.84, we can have the one below that as 0.82, in between that we have 0.825, and in between this we have 0.835. That's my error interval, so that's my maximum 835 and 0.825, 825 and 835. Just gonna reduce. Okay, that's fine. It says number 22 says Eric buys a car for 19,950 pounds. Every year the car loses 5% of the value it had at the start of the year. Eric works out the value of his car 4 years after he bought it. Here is Eric's working. 4 times 5 is 20%. 0.2 times that is this, and that is that. So Eric's method is wrong. Explain why. So Eric has just used a simple interest. The 5% of the value is going to change each year. So he should have used a compounding interest instead of a simple interest. See what the mark scheme says. The 5% of a different value each year. Yeah, it decreases by 5% of the new value. It is compound depreciation, not simple depreciation. Yep. So any of these values, any of these reasons will be correct. It's just understanding it and saying it in your own words. So work out the difference between Eric's answer of this and the real value of the car 4 years after he bought it. 19,950 times by a depreciation, so that would be 0.95 to the power of 4. So that will give you 16,249 and 40p. If I take away 15,960 from that, I have 289.40p. That's the difference. So for answer in the range of 288 to 290, that's correct. So yep, we are fine with that. Here is a Venn diagram. Write down the numbers in the set P intersect Q. So your P intersect Q are the numbers that are common to both P and Q, and that is 12 and 24. P union Q all the numbers that are inside of P and Q joined together. That's what they mean by P union Q. So all the numbers there will be, let's start with 4, 8, 16, 12, 24, 6, and 18. If you want to put it in order, that's fine, but it doesn't matter. How many numbers are in the set P prime? Let me increase that a bit. So P prime, they're asking for how many numbers are in the set P prime. So everything that is not inside of P. So that means we have there, they're just asking for how many numbers. And the numbers that are not inside of P, we have 8 numbers that are in set P prime. So they don't belong to the member of P. They're outside of that. And the next one is a number is chosen at random from the universal set. Find the probability that the number is in set P interset Q. How many numbers are in P interset Q? We have 2. So that is 2 out of the universal set. So we have 13 numbers in total. So that means the probability there is 2 out of 13. We have there as 2 out of 13. And that's correct. So we are at the end of the question paper. So thank you for your time. Thank you. I will please ask that you like, you share, you subscribe to my channel. More will be coming. If you want any specialized topic you want to go over, you can make a comment and I will ensure that I read every comment and respond to every comment. Thank you very much. Bye for now.